Well, hey guys, I just realized I've not been on a bourbon hunt in a while. So I thought, do we want to go in the new bourbon retrieval unit? Or better yet, oh yeah, that sounds like a hunt. We'll see you there. Well, we just rolled up to Habit's Bottle Shop. We haven't done a hunt here in a little while, so let's go inside and see what new items they've got. Well, right when you walk in, what do you see? Habit's store picks. In fact, we've been involved with a few of these. We were present when they did this pick for the Leopold. In fact, when they did their release of that, it's an interesting video on that. You should go to the channel and see. And of course, our collaboration with Habits on this Wyoming whiskey. It really is one of the best bourbon whiskeys in cask strength that I've tasted in a long time. We highly recommend that. And we got a video on the channel all about that Wyoming whiskey. If you come over here, our most recent collaboration is this Yellowstone. This is a fantastic cask strength bourbon. It's from the Limestone Distillery, and you think it's actually like Colorado or something with Yellowstone, but it's actually a Kentucky bourbon whiskey. And this is 119 proof, and we think it's absolutely fabulous. So if you haven't tasted this Yellowstone, come by Habits and see Raheem. He'll give you a taste, and I promise you, once you've had a taste, you're going to want to buy a bottle. And the price is very reasonable. And 119 proof is perfect for me. So when you come in to the store, You've got the wine on the right, beer cooler on the right, and then the bourbon is about midways right ahead of us, and we're going to go right in and see what new bourbons and whiskeys they have. Well, they still have this Woodinville on sale for $39.99. That is a great price if you're a Woodinville fan. And two of my favorite 1792s. Look, the bottled in bond and the full proof. $44.99 and $49.99. You just can't beat that for the value. And we'll see we've got the RY3. I've been meaning to get into that and taste it. And when I do, I'll probably come by Raheem's and grab a bottle. The one that interested me the most is actually this cask strength Madeira. I've heard good things about that. And let's see other things. I'm basically going to show you the bourbons and whiskeys that I think are new or the ones that are my favorites. And of course, Baker's 7. One of my all-time favorite single barrels. At first, I thought it was overpriced, but the more I drink it, the more I like it. And a lot of the Baker 7s are older than 7 years. This one's 7 years, 10 months. Mine's 8 years and change. And if you're a Wyoming whiskey fan of the standard releases, I promise you, you're going to like that cask strength store pick that Raheem has. Down here to the Green River, you just can't beat. I think the full proof is my new favorite Green River. Actually, even more so than the weeded Green River. I just love this full proof, and at $54.99, excellent deal. Now, I didn't give a favorable review of this Baby Jane, but that's about the price you're going to see the Baby Jane. 10 years is a lot more, and of course the Lucky 13 is I always considered kind of an allocated, if nothing else because of the price. But it is a good bourbon. Both of these are good bourbons. Just a little more pricey than, obviously, the Baby Jane. And the Isaac and Bowman Brothers, I think the Isaac is a great port barrel finish, if you're into that. Middle West Spirits, I've been kind of hitting, it's growing on me, but it's not my favorite of the, let's see, where are we here? Wheat whiskey, straight rye. This is the one I have. I like it, I just have other ones I like better. Let's see what else we like in here. Oak and Eden, you know, I still think it's kind of a gimmick. It is a good bourbon, but for the money, there are a lot of ones I like better. Come over on this aisle. If you can find a Hirsch single barrel, those things are fabulous. I've not tried either one of these though. And of course, Smoke Wagon, I still have not gotten into the Smoke Wagon lineup. Penelope Toasted, fan of that. I've got a Rose Cask, and that's a great price, by the way. I've seen this stuff, you know, $70 and higher. So if you want to try the Rosé Cask, that is a fabulous price. The Old Elk, the Armagnac I like better than the Cognac, and the wheated bourbon, wherever it is in here, I like better than the double wheat. Big fan of this punch cut, and we got a video coming up on that very soon. And still, I know Rabbit Hole doesn't get much respect, but the one I like is missing here, the Cave Hill. It's a 4-grain. I actually like the Cave Hill. Old Forester, you can't go wrong with any of the Old Forester, well, except maybe the Statesman. I don't think anybody likes the Statesman. And really, you know, everyone talks about the barrel proof Jack Daniels and the single barrel. Their single barrel select at about what's that, about 94 proof, is a fabulous bourbon and a fabulous price. You should have one of these on your shelf in your bar. As we're going down here, I'm still, you know, I get a lot of flack over it, but the George Dickel bourbon, It's not the Tennessee whiskey. This is their bourbon. For the money, I think it's a steal. More Yellowstone. You know, I'm a fan of the short barrel toasted. This is the older toasted. I come to find out with talking with Patrick, one of the owners, that this was their earlier version of the toasted. So if you really like the toasted, you might want to come by and get this. They do not make this proof anymore. Fiddler. Well, you know, I'm a big fan of the Fiddler. Haven't tried the wheated yet, but need to. And look at that price. $40 for their wheated bourbon. Bull Run, I'm a big fan of their 15. I've not tried either of those. Blue Note, I like all the Blue Notes. Michter's, I'm kind of hit and miss with Michter's. It's a good bourbon, but there are other bourbons I like better. So let's go on the end of the aisle here and see what we got. Elijah Craig Toasted. I actually think that's a pretty darn good bourbon. I wish it was a little bit less expensive, but it is a good toasted bourbon. Old Tub, not a fan. Some of the older Jim Beam varieties I'm just not big on. Same way with Four Roses. I like maybe 2 of the Four Roses. One of the single barrels, one of the special releases, and the small batch select. It's really the only 2 Four Roses I like. So coming around here, what else do we like? We like the Chicken Cock Double Oak. It's a little pricey, but that is actually a very good double oak bourbon. I have got to try this Elements the Hive. This is finished in Amburana and honey casks. That sounds like a good combination. Kind of like the Penelope Rio, isn't that? I think the Rio is finished in something like that. Traverse Whiskey. This is my favorite here, the barrel proof. And for the price, it's just an excellent. It's a little bit proofier than I like, but once it opens up, airs out a little bit, this is actually a good barrel proof bourbon. Let's see what else we like here. Of course, Jim Beam Black, age 7. 28 bucks, people. Come and buy 2 of them. That really is one of the best values in bourbon right now. RM Rose, I'm a big fan of RM Rose. Now I have one of their single barrels. I've not tried their standard straight bourbon whiskey. Wilderness Trail, I don't know what it is about Wilderness Trail. I've just never become a fan of it. There's just nothing I found yet. Maybe I just need to broaden my gaze, right? I do like the Ragged Branch. I got a single barrel from Sealbox. I thought it was good. I just thought it was a little bit overpriced. Maybe just their bottled and bond wheated I'd like better. The Flight, not really a fan of that one. The Bower Hill, the one that I did a short on, that's the one I'm a fan. I think that was a special release, maybe? It wasn't either of these, I don't think. And Jefferson's Ocean. Well, I'm sorry, Jefferson's. I've never found a Jefferson Ocean that I like. The Joseph Magnus, I need to try that one. I have not tried it. I understand it's pretty good in the sherry and cognac cask. And Barrel. I'm a big fan of Barrel. I like the batch 35. This is the 34. I love the Armida. Seagrass is pretty good. I don't own that one. A Dovetail, I own this. And I'm kind of hit and miss. Sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't. But if you look over here in the back, this Barrel Foundation, the most affordable barrel they make, that's a must-have. What's that, $54.99? It's 5-year-old bourbon. It's wonderful. You should have that on your bar. Doc Swinson's, I'm kind of hit and miss. It's mostly a sourced bourbon. The Alter Ego is good. And this one here, Exploratory Cask, French Toasted, for 70 bucks. I might have to come back and get that one. That sounds interesting. They do some good bottles, and they do some not so good bottles. Like I said, kind of hit and miss. If you can get a taste of somebody's Doc Swenson, I think that's the way to go before you buy their bourbon. And before we get to the end of the aisle there, all the new releases and things that Raheem is highlighting, we're going to go back through here, and here's our Woodford Reserves. Double Oak, probably the best standard Woodford Reserve they put out. And occasionally you'll see a store pick in that, and I always say, get that store pick, because someone's gone and actually picked out a single barrel of this Double Oak, and it's worth its weight in gold. Now, as far as Four Roses go, Small Batch Select is my favorite standard. I'm not a fan of the standard single barrel, but the limited releases they come out, you can actually a lot of times pick the recipe they use, and I have 2 or 3 recipes of Four Roses that I like. The OBSK, which is what most of the single barrels are, I'm not a fan. It's too rye heavy for me. There again, Elijah Craig Toasted Barrel, good choice. King's, this King's Wheated, a good choice. I've not tried the other King's bourbons or whiskeys. Not a big fan of Russell's Reserve, but I understand, where is it? I don't see it here. Their single barrel is better than the Russell's 10. I am a fan of the Kentucky Spirit and the Rare Breed. I just like to drink the Spirit. It has all the flavor to me of the Rare Breed without the proof, and it's a single barrel versus a blend. Let's see what else we got in. 3-chord, I actually like the 3-chord with the honey. I thought that was a good honey finished bourbon. Deluxe Row, this double single barrel, it's good. It's a little pricey, but it's definitely worth the money. Rebel, I need to try the 10-year. I've not tried that one yet. Can't go wrong with Benchmark. Let's see what else I like here. And unfortunately, I'm not a fan of the Frey Ranch, but if you ask me, well, which one do you recommend the most? Which one do you like the most? It'll definitely be the Uncut. The Uncut's definitely got a lot more flavor than the standard Frey Ranch. In Bardstown, I've got so many backups of this, it's stupid. Because for a while you couldn't get them. So the Bardstown Origin Black, it's their bottled and bond wheated bourbon, a must-have on your bar. And if you've not tried Cooper's Craft, the 100 proof, the Cooper's Craft Reserve, you're missing something. It's probably one of the best bourbons to drink neat or over or in a cocktail, and it's always in the low to mid 30s, and it's Brown Forman. If you like Old Forester, I promise you, you'll like Cooper's Craft Reserve. So, always a fan of the old Ezra, the 7-year. Not had the rye, it's the bourbon I'm a fan of. High and Wicked, I can't say enough good things about the Dark Arts. I like the French Oak is fabulous. Their straight bourbon whiskey, which I think they call Barely Legal, that's good too, but my favorite is this French Oak, and it's a 7-year bourbon. And if you've not tried New Riff Single Barrel or their bottled and bond, I'd ask you why. The single barrel is one of the best values out there in single barrel. I've never had a bad New Riff single barrel, and their bottled and bond at below $45. It's actually one of the best bottled and bonds I have right now. If you're a Remus fan, of course, here's the Repeal Reserve. I think this is maybe version 7. And the new one, the Babe Ruth Reserve. Now, I don't know much about that, but I've been seeing that on the channel. It is a little pricey, so do your research before you just come out and buy it because it's a cool looking bottle. But there's a lot to it. If you like the Gatsby, this may be a more affordable version of the Gatsby. On the Foregate, I'm a fan of Japanese Mizunara. I have not had this one. This one, not a fan of. But this Kelvin 60, absolutely a big fan. This is my favorite of the Foregates right now. Kentucky Owl, hit and miss on. I actually like their St. Patrick's Day edition, or St. Patrick's edition. I think that's a wonderful blend. And the 2XO, well, there's my favorite right there, the Tribute Blend. Of all the 2XOs, the Tribute Blend to me is the best they have. And you can't go wrong with Ben Holiday, James E. Pepper. We've got a Georgia pick of Penelope Toasted. We've got these Southern Collectives. I'm a big fan of Southern Collective. I've not tasted these particular ones, but every Southern Collective I've ever tasted, I love. I've got the Return of the King, which is absolutely one of the best high-proof cask strength bourbons in my collection. Redwood Empire, you can't go wrong with just about any of the Redwood Empire. I'm a big fan of the Fiddler Georgia Heartwood and Heaven Hills. I got multiple bottles of that. I never run out of the Heaven Hill bottled in bond. Absolute must in your bar. And if you're only starting, you only have limited funds, get you a Heaven Hill bottled in bond. Traveler, I'm not a fan of. I do like this Samurai edition of the World Whiskey Society. It's finished in Japanese Mizunara cask and some kind of other barrels. It's actually pretty darn good. It's a little bit pricey, but if you want something different, that's a good choice. So let's talk about some of my favorites. If I was coming in here and was just wanting to stock up my bar, what are some of the ones I'd absolutely buy? Well, first up, top shelf would be this Old Elk Cigar Cut Punch Cut #1. I've tasted the Cigar Cut in the past, and this is probably the best Old Elk I've ever tasted. I own a bottle. I highly recommend it. Next up, whether you're a Chattanooga whiskey fan or not, I'm telling you right now, this Founders Edition, this is the 12th anniversary. I also have the 11th anniversary. I think this is a must on your bar. To me, this is the best Chattanooga, Tennessee whiskey that they have. Period. Hands down. Next, if you're thinking about Green River and you already have the wheated, then you've got to get this Foolproof. Now, this is their bourbon, not their wheated bourbon, but this is an absolute gem, and it's a very affordable, and I definitely recommend you getting this for your bar. And if you've seen Dark Arts on the shelf at your local bottle shop and you've passed it up, I'm telling you, don't. This Dark Arts, finished in French oak staves, is one of my favorite finished bourbons right now, and it's affordable and is absolutely a must-have for your bar. So we hope you enjoy this little mini bourbon hunt of one of the stores I come to quite often. So as always, never drink and drive, please drink responsibly, and we'll see you next time on Bourbon Hunt.